Hi everyone, so today is the 14th of May 2017 and it's been quite a while since I've checked in. The reason why it's been quite some time is, for those who don't know yet, I've been struggling really badly with depression. Unfortunately, I do go through periods where this happens and it takes all of my strength to sort of keep breathing. So I felt like I haven't had anything to bring you guys, or any words of encouragement or support or anything, because all I was trying to do was just survive. So I've just been thinking recently on, depression and what that looks like from a Christian perspective. And I've actually written down a lot of notes, and I will have to read from them quite a fair bit, which I don't like to do because it sort of feels really stagnant and stuff. But these are thoughts that were just going through my mind today, and I wanted to share them with you guys. So there is a quote, that's been used quite a lot, and it's, if we're not feeling close to God, who's moved? And it's never God that's moved. And I think I've said that in one of my recent videos, that that God is still there, and he's searching to bring me home, like the lost sheep, the lost coin, and the prodigal son. It's in Luke 15, and pretty much the whole chapter, I think. So it's that God never walks away from us or leaves us, and we're always the ones that walk off and tend to isolate ourselves from him, even though it makes no sense when you sort of look back on it. But at the time, sometimes it's what we do. When we get depressed, or when I speak for myself, when I'm depressed, when things are overwhelming, and I can't see an end of how I'm feeling, or of the hard times that I'm going through. It can be really exhausting to fight my way through it. And I remember telling my best friend recently that depression, if I was going to explain it, depression feels like I'm in a body of water, like a swimming pool, and the water is over my head, and it's really, really thick. It's not like water, it's more like a really thick, gluey substance, and I'm trying to fight my way to the surface, but every time I move my arms or my legs, it's exhausting. Like physically, it's so tiring. And not only is it this thick, gluey substance that I'm trying to fight my way through, it's also so dark that I can't even see my hand in front of my face. I don't even know which way up is, like which way the surface is. And that's what it feels like. That's what depression feels like. Every movement, every physical movement, it hurts. Like physically, it's painful, and that's what depression feels like for me. I'm in this dark place, and I don't know which way is up to get myself out of it, and that can be really scary. So that's sort of like, that's how I feel when I'm struggling with depression. And it's during this time that I feel scared and I feel isolated, and that nobody understands, and God doesn't understand. And those are the thoughts that I go through. And I have a bad habit of shutting down and not talking to anyone, not even God. Like, I don't talk to anybody about how I'm feeling. And it's only after I've dragged myself through this period of darkness, and I don't know how I do drag myself through without without actually ending my life. Like, there's times where honestly I feel like I want to, but I don't, and I don't know how I get through those times, honestly. It's when I'm in that place of darkness that I get angry, and I get annoyed, and I get disappointed with myself for not reaching out for help from anyone, or even leaning into God for help and strength. It's just, it's those times where I am so scared and I am so desperate for some kind of relief. God should be the first one I go to, or even a friend or someone that can sit there with me and help me. And I just internalize everything and try to just get through it on my own. And I need to remember that God is faithful, that He He never leaves me or abandons me or you in our moments of greatest need. I mean, you must imagine how he feels. You know, he loves us completely, yet when we need him the most, we turn away and ignore him. You know, if you had someone in your life that you loved, you know, with all of your heart, and I'm talking to myself as well, and we know that they're hurting, we know that they're in a really bad place, and they could be grieving, they could be, you know, hiding in the shadows of their lives, crying with grief and emotional pain and rocking in agony, yet refusing the help and comfort that we offered them. How would we feel? You know, helpless, unwanted. I would imagine that that's how God feels, you know, when we don't, sorry, I've just lost my place on my notes, when we don't turn to him in our pain and in our heartache. You know, all he wants is for me to let him into these places that are raw and bleeding, and for me to let him into and let him be my stand-up in recovery. You know, a stand-up in recovery, this means he wants to help me stand up from where I'm sitting in pain, and help me recover by leaning on him for support while he puts me back together again. And he wants the same from you. You know, if you're feeling like I've been feeling, and you just feel so hopeless and helpless, and like there's nothing good in life anymore, and you know, I'm being really real, and it's hard for me to admit that I've been in places like this, and I've just been to this place, and, you know, admit that that's how I've been feeling, and not only that's how I've been feeling, but also the fact that I shut God out. Like, that's, as a Christian, we're not supposed to do that, but, you know, I'm real, you know, and I may be a Christian, but I am a Christian, but I still have those moments where I don't feel God with me. And, you know, when it really boils down to it, you know, I really do only have myself to blame, which makes the depression even worse, because then I hate myself even more than I did before, because I'm not letting God in. And it's just this really, really vicious cycle. And, you know, I've allowed people to drag me down and make me feel less worthy than I actually am. And that's probably been the biggest trigger for me this time with the depression, is that I've allowed people to drag me down and to make me feel like crap. You know, God says, on the other hand of those feelings, you know, God says that I'm his, that I'm beautiful, that I'm forgiven, and so much more. And the same goes for you guys. You know, your value does not decrease. You know, this is something I heard recently at church, and I actually, you know, haven't been at church much lately because of how I've been feeling. And the pastor said that, you know, your value does not decrease based on someone else's inability to see your worth. And when he said that, you know, 2 weeks ago in church, that's when I started going back to church again after probably close to 5 months of not going. I thought to myself, you know, why am I letting people say these things about me? Well, you know, I can't stop them from saying them, but why am I believing them? Why am I taking them on as, you know, as truth when it's not the truth? And God says that I'm all these other things that aren't even close to what this person is saying about me. So I need to remember that, you know, just because they can't see what I'm worth doesn't mean I'm not worth that, because I'm worth what I'm worth in God's eyes, and nothing's going to change that. So I need to tell these people that are saying these things to me to basically get stuffed, and that I don't believe them, because I shouldn't believe them, because it's not true, if that makes sense. If you want to know your true worth, look at what Jesus did on the cross and why. You know, he wasn't up there for no reason. You know, he died because he wanted to save us, yeah, of course. But would he do that if he didn't think we were worth it? Really? I mean, you know, don't believe the lies that people tell you about who you are. Look at who God says that you are. And when you feel like crap, and you feel like you're down and you're not worthy of anything, and you're not, you know, I mean, I have times where I don't feel like I'm even worth the space that I take up breathing. And that's all a lie. You know, if Jesus didn't see something in me, if Jesus didn't think that I was worthy, he wouldn't have died the way that he did, the pain that he went through for nothing. You know, he did that because he feels that I'm worth it, and that's pretty amazing when you actually sit down and think about it for 2 seconds. So I've just like I said, I've been through a really difficult period of depression. I felt very separated from God and feeling totally unworthy of God's time and attention and love. I've been feeling broken. I've been feeling exhausted in body, mind, and spirit. And like I was totally alone, unwanted, and unloved. And I know those are really, really big things to admit to. And I'm saying these things because, I want someone, if there's anyone out there listening to this, that I want you to be encouraged that you're not alone. You're not, just because we're Christians doesn't mean we stop having bad feelings and we don't stop doubting ourselves, and the depression may or may not stop. We may be healed from it the moment we get saved, or we may continue to struggle with it for the rest of our lives. But the fact is that you're not alone. And I really want you to know that, because there are times when I feel alone, and I know that if I told my Christian friends how I was feeling, they would support me and they would pray for me and love on me and things like that. But I actually have to tell them in order for them to know that that's how I'm feeling. And I just want you to know you're not alone in this. We're human, we feel things, and we live in a world where there is pain and suffering, and people tell us things that aren't true. The feelings that I've been feeling were totally, the feelings that I was feeling were totally real and scary things to feel, but I did survive it. You can survive it. I'm still surviving it, and I'm still here, and I have God to thank. I know I didn't go to him for help, but I have a strength inside of me that he created me with to help me in these times. Without that strength, without that sheer stubbornness to not give up, I wouldn't be sitting here right now telling you all of this, because if I were to be totally honest, in my darkest moments, I would never actually end my life. I would never actually do anything to physically harm myself. I know that. But if I just went to sleep and didn't wake up, or suddenly stopped breathing, or I was involved in a horrible car accident and I didn't walk away from it, I wouldn't complain. In my darkest moments, I would have quite happily gone to sleep and not woken up. I wouldn't have minded. Deuteronomy 31:8, it says, the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. And, I just want to leave you guys with that how you're feeling is really, really real, and it's okay to feel that, but it's a feeling that will ease, and it's a feeling that will pass. And I'm speaking to myself as well as anyone else out there listening, that we need to lean on to God and let him help us, because without his help we can't do it. We can't overcome these feelings. I mean, we can, but it's so much harder than if we just let him help. The reason why people who have 2 broken legs sit in a wheelchair when they get better is because they can't walk on their own. That's what God is for us, and if we can't walk, if we're tired, if we feel like we can't go on, we've got God to help us get around and, just be there for us. And I need to remember that. Everything in the world changes, people, rulers and kingdoms, feelings, other religions, everything changes, but God's promises, his word, it never changes. And it says in Deuteronomy that he will never, ever leave us or forsake us, abandon us. He will never stop loving us. That will never, ever change. So, I just wanted to, get real, break it down, explain where I've been, and why I haven't been online lately and why I haven't posted anything up. It's been a really hard season. I still feel like sometimes I'm on that edge, sort of teetering, and I could fall back down into depression at any moment. I've got a few health issues at the moment as well, so that's hard. But it is just temporary. And I have to keep telling myself that it's not going to be forever. It's not going to be forever, and that God won't leave me, and He's there for me. If I turn to Him, and I would really, really appreciate you guys' prayers. I'm looking for more work, and like I said, my physical health is not fantastic at the moment. I could maybe be looking at surgery. It just depends on the results of some tests that I've had done. My relationship with God's been really floundering. I've only just started going back to church, and so if you guys could pray for me, I'd really appreciate it. And if you guys need any prayer, please leave comments, either on the Restoration Through Christ Jesus page on Facebook, or in the comments below this video, and we can pray for each other, and I'll be praying for you. I love you guys heaps. Thanks for following. Take care. God bless, and happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Okay, bye.